Yo, what's up? We're going to do some instances today, and I'm pretty much just going to talk through it, just at the speed that I do the instance. A lot of the instances are kind of leashed by a lot of dialogue, um, so there's probably going to be parts where it's just like there's nothing really to talk about, so apologies in advance for that. So the first instance that we're going to take a look at is Old Glast Heim. I've already done videos for this, so if you want to skip this one, I would understand. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty much going to just try and remember to put timestamps in the comments or something, so that if you want to look at a specific instance, you can go there. So to start out this one, you're just going to kick off a couple of dialogues and spam through the chat. You can hang around and read it and watch it if that is something you're interested in. Just know that if you're hanging out here, a bunch of monsters do spawn and you will probably have to fight them. But if you don't hang out there, you can just go wait over here. It's all time leashed, so it doesn't really matter. Even if you kill everything, it's still going to take the same amount of time. So you can just walk over here and not have to deal with any of that stuff. And then you pretty much just like hang out and wait for the instance to start. So you want to make sure that you're using a holy element because everything in here is undead, and I think undead property, or I don't think anything in here is demon property. Maybe one of the bosses. So this is a high-end, I would say, gear setup. As far as improvements go, like this could be something else, I suppose, depending on your build. I like Sapphire Wrist just because it gives you a lot of stats. For those who don't know, they give 10 int, dex, and luck if you have level 10 aid condensed potion, and they also give 20 magic attack per level or per 2 levels of aid condensed potion, which turns out to be about 100 magic attack. So that's really good, just overall. My build is 100 strength, 90 vit, 120 int, 120 dex. So we're pretty close to instant cast from stats, and we're using temporal dex boots for the ranged bonus that they give. This one is Lucky Day, Expert Archer 4. When the dialogue here says death to all, I like to start doing shield spell. So you'll put on the Royal Guard shield, and then you'll press this shield spell button and swap to your new shield, the Gaia shield. It has 150 defense, which gives you a lot of attack. But you want to do that really quick, and if you have fast cast time, you have to basically press the buttons at the same time. When you see your attack go up, that means that you have the attack buff. You can also check here, it should last about 7.5 minutes if you're using a Gaia shield. It lasts longer based on the defense of the shield that you use. You don't have to keep that shield on, so I'll swap back to Mad Bunny. I'm using 2 Mad Bunnies. One of them is anti-medium, and one of them is Alice for the bosses. And honestly, you don't really need them for most of the bosses, or Alice for most of the bosses, but it's just nice to have. Try and keep my gears open so that you can see at all times what I'm doing. I'll try and point it out as I go. As far as the weapon, I'm not using anything fancy for this instance in particular, just because these monsters are very easy, and you know, you don't even have to one-shot them, but they walk super slow, they group pretty easily, and when you do one-shot them, just don't wait for them to walk around. Like, you're gonna want to just like kite around, and it's faster for you to kill them than to trail them around for like 20 minutes until they're all in a nice pile and then try and get them. Just go. And if you notice the route, I went up and around, and then I looped back and killed the rest of the ghouls, and then came back into this wraith room, and then finished up here, because I can talk over this wall and trigger the dialogue from there without having to walk around. So a little time saver there. But yeah, back to the weapon. I'm using Malicious Thanatos Hammer, Bloodsucker, and for my Shadow gear, I'm using Malicious Shadow Set, and this Rudra's Grace is SP Absorption. So that will help keep my SP full at all times, and it'll also help keep my HP full without using any items. Because with an instance like this, you're not making a lot of money off of it just because of how many people do it and like just the caliber of item that you're getting out of it. It's used to make temporal dex boots. So like per run, you're probably making maybe 10 to 15 mil if you're lucky with OCAs. So you really don't want to be spending like a Yigberry or like a Yig Seed or anything like that, because those are 500k to like a mil or something. So you have to think that those kind of things will cut into your profit. So basically the only thing I use is cannonballs. And I mean, if you think about like in terms of break even, you definitely don't want to like think, I don't know, because a lot of this gear now, I bought it before it got this expensive, but a lot of this gear is in like the billions of Zenny. So it's like, are you going to pay for billions of Zenny in gear 15 mil at a time? Probably not, unless you get like really lucky on cards or something. Most people that watch my channel probably already know that I use an account with multiple genetics on it. I have 12 in total, but I really only use like 5 or 6. Just because if I do all of the instances that I normally do, it takes forever. Like, it takes way longer than I'm willing to commit. So, yeah, I don't know. It works out for me because I can do it kind of in volume, but like, you're not going to pay for this Abyss dress by doing just this instance. Like, it would take you like years to do that. So you want to make sure that you're earning income in a lot of different ways, and hopefully you eventually break even on the gear. Gear alternatives, I would say evil dragon armor is really good. So for this stage here, I'm swapping to deviling because these guys are a little bit faster and they hit harder. Not to mention the archers are at ranged, so they're going to be able to do a lot more damage to me before I can get to them, especially if they're not grouped up. But yeah, like, don't worry too much. More than likely, like, the higher level you are, this is going to be easier because you're going to have a higher HP pool, which means you have more chance that your leech is going to proc. So even if you get low, like between Thanatos Hammer, Bloodsucker, and Malicious set, you're going to leech your HP back. Like, you're pretty much guaranteed to, even if you're killing like one at a time. But when you can, you want to grab all these guys and lump them all together and hit them in one go like that. Again, you probably won't be able to one-shot if you're not using an Abyssal Dress, but you can 2-shot or 3-shot. It doesn't really matter. It just takes a little bit more time. If you're 2-shotting and 3-shotting, you'll probably want to use Evil Dragon Armor because you'll get even more HP and SP leech out of it. Plus 9 is fine. Plus 10 is better. You want to use Evil, which is Bathory card, or Undead, which is Evil Druid card. In this instance, anyways. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward from there. You're just going to run around and clear the rooms one at a time. Careful of the archers. The route that I take is I go down that hallway to the right, then I go down the hallway to the left and go up, clear out this room, and that should get... Because these guys are a little bit more grouped. Basically, I want to kill as many in as little time as possible. So you clear out the rooms that are most concentrated, and then you go into this one, and you finish off all of the Raedricks that are in here. And by the time you finish this, the dialogue should pop up, and you should be pretty much ready to fight the first boss, which is back over to the right. So, what I'm kind of worried about, and when recording Glast Heim videos, it kind of sucks because the next section is pretty RNG heavy, so you can get really unlucky, and it takes you forever to get to the next rooms. Like, for how unprofitable the instance is, it really does take a long time. So if you're not going to do any of the instances out of this whole video, I would recommend not doing this one because it's so time-consuming for the return. So once you get here, you'll notice that my shield spell buff is just about running out, which means that I need to re-up it. So I have some free time, so I'll go ahead and get that going. We got it the first try. We're waiting for the boss to spawn. I'm going to switch over to my gear now, which is the Royal Guard, and then I'm switching to a plus 15 double liberation Crimson Mace. This is pretty much going to be your best go-to weapon for cart cannoning for MVPs. What it does is it gives it gives your attack times your attack, or the refine times the refine bonus in attack on top of the normal attack and the regular refinement bonus that you get, which is just all really good. I'm keeping the Deviling on because he does cast, I believe, Hell's Judgment, and I mean, it can do a good amount of damage, but honestly, with the HP pool that I have, it doesn't even make a difference whether I'm using a shooter or Deviant at all. But I'm going to keep the Deviant on because the next stage also has some heavy hitters on it, and keep going up. Switching over to Anti-Medium again and Malicious, I'm going to head up here to this portal, go to the left first, I run up. When you're going down that hallway, it's pretty important to stay to the right, because otherwise some of the mobs on the other side of the wall will spawn before you have a chance to get to them, which kind of makes them walk all over the place and it's kind of messy. But if you keep to the right, then they stay in this nice group and you can just like kill them a lot easier before they wander off. But you'll basically wander around in circles here. This is the path that I take. I go up and then kill the ones in the middle, then kill the ones in the bottom right corner, and then I move around clockwise to these spawns here. If you can get there quick enough before they start to move, you'll be able to kill them in 1 to 2 cart cannons. I'm not sure if I can possibly get enough damage. I think if I use stat foods I might be able to kill the Kalitzbergs in one shot, but it doesn't really matter again. You're two-shotting them. You'll get to the spawns before they have a chance to actually respawn, and you'll end up waiting anyways. So you pretty much, once you clear it, you're just clearing these out. You're waiting for a yellow dialogue to appear at the top that says evil forces have appeared. And then you'll look around for the regular spawn locations for the mini-boss for this zone. So hopefully it doesn't take too many rotations because it can be really boring. There are opportunities here where you can get coagulated spells. Anything in this instance can drop a coagulated spell, which will basically help you make the temporal boots that this instance come with, basically, or the point of doing this. So keep an eye out for those. I actually have a mod where my coagulated spells look bigger than normal, so that I can see them a little bit easier. Because this is actually a very good leveling spot. I have a video on that as well. If you're 130 plus, you can actually come here and farm this area. As long as you don't kill the mini-boss, they'll keep respawning indefinitely. You just run around in circles and kill the fixed spawn points. Just try and avoid killing the mini-boss. And you can actually rack up 2-3 levels per BM if you're level 130 to 140 or so, which I recommend. It's pretty fast, all things considered. You can do a few BMs before you have to finish the instance. I think there's like a 2-hour limit or something. So as long as you're done by the end of it, I mean, you can even get kicked out. It doesn't matter if you complete the instance if you're doing it for leveling. But it's a really good experience, and if you have Abyss Dress, it's like the fastest because you do so much damage, and yeah, it's very good. I'm actually thinking of switching over, since this is taking a while, to Spare Card, and we'll see if I get any blank card drops, because those are like 80k each now. Might as well, right? Like, your goal is to make a lot of money, and if it helps you make a little bit extra, it's probably going to be worth it in the long run, especially if you farm lots of instances all the time. The more opportunities you give yourself to make money, the more it'll add up. Especially with these cheaper instances that don't have as much return. But this goes to show you, you definitely want to take a lot of cannonballs with you. I usually bring about 1,000 for all of the instances that I do total, and that's never been too few for me. If that makes sense. I usually keep my camera like this sideways because I find it easier to walk around rather than traveling up and down. For some reason, I just feel like the camera is a lot easier to work with when you're traveling side to side in this game. So there we have the dialogue. It says evil forces are appearing. Once you get that dialogue, you want to backtrack and look for him. So one of the spots you can be is here in this little arena in the bottom left corner. Other places that he can be is over here in the bottom right corner. And then you'll go up here. And he can be right here. And then the other place that he can be is in the top left corner. You want to try and kite him around. That's just a halberd. It's nothing. And yeah, so you just kite him around because he does Magnum Break, and if you are using a Deviant, it can do more damage, and especially if you're using a Deadly Armor, you can take a lot of damage from that as well. So we got the proc right away on the second room, which is a massive blessing. Alright, there he is. So he can be here in this top right corner. I'll try and revisit the spawns just to show you where he can possibly be. You want to separate him from the mobs, because if you don't, there's a chance that he just, like, you kill the mob and then he respawns elsewhere and you have to go find him again. So just try and keep him separate. Other place he can be is over here in this room, and then the last place that he can be is over here in this room. So we're just going to swap back to the of shooter, which just gives me, it's Men Black card, it gives me 1% ranged attack for every 10 decks, so that's giving me 12%, and then it's Expert Archer and all the enchants, it's max enchanted. The reason we're doing that is because these little Arc Clouds dudes, they cast Earth Attack, and if you're using a Deviant, you're going to take a lot of damage from it, so like really don't wear that, and especially don't forget to switch off your Alice shield and use something else. Anything else. As long as you're not taking more damage, you should be able to deal with them. If you're going to die in this instance, it's literally just going to be to those things. Those bugs are probably the strongest thing in here, honestly. So this boss fight's going to go pretty quick because of the Abyss Dress. We're going to do like 500 and 600k damage with Cart Cannon. So he'll die basically instantly, and we'll be able to go and collect the treasure. Here's another chance. Since that last stage took so long, we're going to go ahead and refresh Shield Spell. We don't have to, because he does so much, we do so much damage anyways. But yeah, two strategies for that. Just watch your attack go up and watch the time go up, and you'll know if you get the right one. Last little piece of gear that I didn't get to go over is the Seraphim Coronet. It's a mid-gear. And if you have, it gives attack plus 5 for every base int, attack plus 50 if your int is 108 or higher, attack plus 125 if it's 120 or higher. So all of that compounds together to be like 250 or 300 attack or something like that. So it's a ton. It's a huge amount of attack that you get from the mid gear. Very, very strong. A very expensive gear though. Not by any means required for this, but you can do some real damage with it. So we got lucky, we got another OCA. So we'll go ahead and talk to him, we'll finish up, and we'll head back the other way. So you want to make sure that you're swapping back the Thanatos Hammer and you're taking off the Royal Guard, and you are make sure that you still have your Of Shooter on, or whatever garment you're using. And I like to just kill these because there's too many times where I've tried to run by and then I lag and I get the two mobs on me and then they both all decide to cast Earth Attack at the same time, and like it can kill you if you're like not max health. So I don't know, don't mess with it, don't risk it at the end of your run, like just kill them. It's not that big of a deal. So the treasure room, you're going to backtrack and then head to the right, go up to the fountain, click on it, and you'll end up in this middle room. Then you'll just click on these statues here, and they'll start dropping loot. You can see the coagulated spells that I have. So I like to grab the spells, the booleans. I leave pretty much everything else. I grab the colorful brooch, platinum, boolean, silver, all these things. The booleans you can sell to NPCs for 100k plus, which is just a little bit extra money. I'm a little disappointed we didn't get any spare cards though, that's too bad. Anyways, so we're finished here. You can either B-wing, or what I do is I have /leave on hotkey. So I go ahead and /leave. When you leave the instance, or when you leave your party, the instance is closed. So you'll end up back in town, have your warper in town, and we'll go to the next one. Alright, so we're in Ludi now. We're going to go ahead and not talk to her. We're going to open up the party. I have my party organization on hotkey as well, /organize, and then whatever your party name will be. And then I kind of keep this occupied all the time so nobody can take it. And then you'll minimize that, go ahead and talk to her, reserve the instance. If it's the first time you're doing it, it's a little bit longer of a dialogue, so keep that in mind. And we're just going to shield spell real quick before we go in, just to keep it refreshed, and swap over to the anti-medium, head into the instance. So we still have the Of Shooter on and the Malicious Thanatos Hammer at this point. If you want to quickly start the instance, you're going to click the last option, I know your situation. Let's just get started. And I should have probably refreshed these VIP buffs because the last instance took so long, but I forgot. So the MVP fight might take a little bit longer. And we'll do a little bit less damage. It's not that big of a deal. So you'll talk to the present and transform into a cookie. I like to travel to the top left corner, and you go ahead and kill everything that you can. Again, Abyssdress makes this super easy. Because you can one-shot. If you can't one-shot, you'll two-shot. That's pretty much all I can say about it. Abyssdress is very much worth the money, I think, because a lot of the endgame content is undead and demon and shadow and all that stuff. So you can benefit from it in almost any instance. But yeah, you'll just loop around. If you are cart cannoning, there's a pretty bad animation delay when you're using this cookie. So I recommend kiting. So that just means when you cart cannon, and then you click somewhere else, and then you start walking in that direction, which cancels that long animation. So you'll talk to him, you'll turn into a present, and then you'll start walking over here to the right. Go ahead and swap over to a deviant if you have one. I highly recommend it. Talk to her. Say you know what to do. The method that we're going to do is going to not transform into the second cookie. Though that's an option, a present will spawn, you transform into a cookie and you're camouflaged, which means that the little soldier guys don't appear and attack you. If you don't transform, they identify an intruder and they start to attack. But the dialogue completes instantly for all of the workers. So it's actually faster if you can handle the the cruiser-looking dudes, because then you don't have to sit through the whole dialogue. But once you talk to them, you want to move on very quickly, because once you talk to a worker, they'll identify a trespasser, and a huge amount of them will spawn. So I can actually kind of try and show you that, like that. Look at this, there's so many. So don't get caught, don't sit around and let them spawn on you, just keep running. And if you haven't done the instance before, learn where the cookies are before you do this, because otherwise you'll probably end up getting stuck and you'll use all your potions and you'll take a lot of unnecessary damage. Like, it's no joke, they do a lot. So just make sure that before you talk to them that you're going to be free to move, and then when you do talk to them, just get out of there quickly. And then try and just keep clicking. If you do get hit locked a little bit, that's alright. So to kind of reiterate the route, you start over here, you talk to this guy, walk down, and you talk to this guy. Then you walk through here, you talk to the guy up here, and then you walk and you start to the right corner and you go right to left. And that's the easiest way to not have to backtrack through cruisers. So once you've done that, they'll close the factory floor and you'll head over here and you'll view a dialogue between Santa and Antonio. I honestly don't think I've read it one time, but if you're interested in lore, I don't know if it qualifies as lore, but it's something. If you need to shield spell at this point, go ahead. I don't really feel the need to, so I just kind of leave it. You can swap back to the shooter if you want, or keep the deviant on. These monsters hit in the 1,000 range or so it's not like that much damage. It's not so much damage that you can't leech it back, but it is a good amount of damage. So if you're doing this at a lower level, like, you'll probably want to, I don't know, use as much reduction as you can if you can do it. Now, if you're not using Abyss Dress, again, you'll probably be using an Evil Dragon Armor for HP and SP regen. The problem is, like, I play the game at this level so much, I don't know the crappy recommendations. Like, I really don't know how to do this with garbage gear. I mean, I do know how to do it, it's just, like, I don't even know what the bad gear is to, like, tell you to use. So, like, I don't know, it's kind of this weird situation where it's like, it's stuff that I would never consider using at this point, so I don't even know what to recommend. But, like, I definitely recommend a Thanatos Hammer. It's like 15 mil, and it's the best freaking weapon in the world. You get tons of leech off of it, and, like, does it look like I have problems killing monsters with it? No, it's freaking awesome. So we're looking around for Antonio here. Like, and he can be in a number of places. Usually he's in this open floor. Very rarely I find him up here. Usually this is like the last place that I look. If you find yourself getting hit locked, like if you're anything but a genetic or a Synex or what, GX can actually cloak through this whole thing, and they'll and not get really attacked by anything. They can just find Santa real quick. So the other places he can be is right over here if you walk up the stairs. And then there's a little area to the right that he can be as well. But since we found him here, we're going to go ahead and call our homunculus and attack him with that. And the homunculus helps because it does bolts. Other things that you can do is like summon Parasite or summon Hydra or something like that. If you can get him running into a wall, he doesn't go anywhere. That can be a good way to kill him quickly. You can also use a CD in mouth and proc the bolts from that, but if you don't have a lot of attack speed, it's still going to be pretty slow. Or if you have attack speed, you can just attack him, like if you're a ranger or a GX or something. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and move to the next room, where we're going to fight the MVP here. So we'll re-up our shield spell. We're going to switch to our Royal Guard and switch to our MVP weapon. She is Ghost, so we're going to switch to the Ghost Cannonballs. And one thing that I forgot to mention about the Abyss Dress is it does make it so that you can't be knocked back, which is good. So it looks like we are going to run out of our food, which is too bad. But, you know, it is what it is. So one thing that I like to do is I have a macro for Heart Cannon because, you know, I can sit here and press like D-click, 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 which is where Heart Cannon is, or just like, I don't know, just automatically do it. But we'll do it the old-fashioned way, just because it's on video. But yeah, you can. I don't think there's anything against using macros as long as you're actually at the computer playing the game. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, if you sit here, you're not going to get knocked back. They're both going to mob really easily on you. And you should be able to leech your HP back, but if you find that you're not, you can switch to an Evil Dragon Armor or something, and you should get your HP back pretty easily there. Yeah, so it just procced, and then we're going to switch back to the Abyss Dress. And this is pretty much it for most of the fight. There's a stage where she will go ahead and turn into much more... She'll use an ability called Max Pain, which if you hit it, you'll fuck yourself in the face, and then you'll die and you'll lose. So if you decide you want to do that for some reason, make sure that you're bringing VIP res tokens so that you can resurrect and continue the fight without losing all of the time that you've spent doing this. So she's casting SP Drain right now. I like to still use an SP item just to get a couple more hits in. And then when she turns yellow like this, don't attack her. We do have VIP tokens and we don't have any VIP buffs to speak of, so I'm just going to fucking kill myself just to demonstrate that you can. That's what happens. Then just res up and keep going. Now there is a stage pretty soon here where they'll power up and they'll go from hitting 1k damage on me to hitting 3 to 4k damage on me, which you really just want to cross your fingers and hope that your leeching gear kicks in, but you don't leave it to chance. Like, keep a reasonable amount of HP up and keep attacking. And then try and kill her before she gets this other SP drain off. But yeah, I mean, if you don't have the damage, you're going to have to go through that phase a couple of times where she max pains and you just kind of take it. You have to sit there, or you can kite her around, but you know, it doesn't really save you that much HP, so just that. So you can get a mystical card album from her, you can get mystical card albums from here. Those are like 10 to 12 mil each, very good gears. Or not gears, but this instance is pretty good loot for the time. It took just over 8 minutes, I know, because the VIP buffs wore off at that point, and you get a lot of payout for it. So I wouldn't drop this one if you're looking to slim back any of your instances that you do normally. But that's it for this one. We're going to take a quick break. I'm still going to be in the same video, but I'm personally going to take a quick break, and then we'll get back with a couple other instances in just a minute. But yeah, to leave this instance, I just do /leave to close the party. And it saves me some B-Wings, all about saving cost. Alright, so I'll be back in just a second. Alright, so we are going to keep it going, and we'll be doing Geffen Magic Tournament next. And then after that, while we're in the dimensional time gap, we're going to go ahead and do Faceworm. So I needed to go refresh VIP buffs, so we're going to eat in to do that. I have the warp prepared to the Midgard Allied Forces area, which will allow us to get a time gap pretty quick. So we'll just go ahead and enter in here. And so to do Geffen Magic Tournament, you run up to the top over here, head over to the right, talk to this guy, and say you are ready to do it. We're going to go ahead and get our shield spell ready now. We got it first try. Switch over to anti-medium, switch over to Fallen Angel Wing of Shooter, switch over to Flattery Robe of Ifrit, and switch over to regular Cannonballs, and then KVM Glorious, sorry, KVM Morningstar, Glorious Morningstar. So while you're getting prepared, you'll be able to enter the instance by the time you're done, and you'll walk south, and you'll get stopped by a dialogue, and then you keep walking south until you get to the registration area. So walk through the town, talk to this guy, say, how do I register? Then go ahead and say yes. You'll have to fight this desert wolf, and once you do that, you'll put in your name or anything that you want to type in, and it will assume that you put in your name, and you'll be allowed to enter the tournament. So go ahead and go in. So everything in here is demi-human. There's a lot of dialogue, so this instance is heavily dialogue leashed. But so as far as items go, we're using the Midas Whisper, which will help us with cart cannon damage. This one has Metal 2, which gives me 6% attack. I'm hoping to get that to Metal 5 eventually. We're using Fallen Angel Wing of Shooter. Deviant is not what you want to be using here. Magic damage will do more damage to you for no reason at all, or like unnecessarily. The reason is that you're wearing a Deviling, obviously. Everything in here is medium, so you'll be doing that. And yeah, everything is demi-human, so you'll use a KVM weapon if you have it. Otherwise, whatever your strongest, average, whatever your normal weapon is. So the first stages are super, super easy. All you do is cart cannon. Well, you're doing that the entire time. It's not like it changes at all from there. But you're just sticking to the normal cannonballs. There's really nothing too crazy that you need to prepare yourself for. In this case, let's see. 2, 3. This one dies in 3 hits. Sound there. Forgot I turned it off. So yeah, basically a lot of this is just sitting and waiting. You're probably going to run out of SP if you don't bring anything to regen, so about halfway through I'll be switching over to EDA to get some SP regen. Otherwise I'll have to use like a Yig Seed, and it's a really big waste of a Yig Seed, considering this instance doesn't really pay you anything. You're basically hoping that you get lucky on Fenrir for like a Fenrir card or Power Scrolls or something like that. The one different gear that we are using is the Flattery Robe of Ifrit, and you don't have to use this. Evil Dragon Armor, you could default that the whole time. I'm only getting like 14% damage from the Flattery right now. 2 dex, or it's dex 2, dex 2, gives me 150 magic attack. It'll increase my long range damage by 7% each, so 14%. If it was dex 3, more than that, it's about 20%. For this one, you want to switch to a Soul Cannonball, or Ghost. It's Ghost Element. Or if you're a regular, or a class that doesn't have ability to use Ghost, you can go ahead and do any elemental conversion, Holy, or something like that. As long as it's not a neutral property attack, you'll do just fine. But for the next one, you'll switch back to Iron Cannonballs or neutral attack. So you want to get rid of this guy pretty quick. He knows a cloaking ability, and he can disappear, and you can't get him out with crazy vines or anything like that. I'm not really sure. You might have to bring a sight clip. I tend to just sit around and wait for him to come back if I miss killing him before he hides. But it is really annoying, so if you have the ability to get him out of that, it helps a lot. But otherwise, you'll just have to wait around. It'll take a little bit more time. You can see that I'm not really bothering with Heart Boost. The damage bonus really isn't that much, and the timing of it is really weird. You have to wait a lot. It's better just to start doing damage right away than to fiddle with like the 2k extra damage that I'm missing out on. It's not going to help me hit them or kill them in any less hits than I am. So if you're a ranged class, the High Priest is something that you kind of need to watch out for. She does know Numa, and will cast it if you give her the opportunity. With Glorious Morningstar, there is a chance that you stun her, like I did, and prevents her from casting. So you can end up canceling her Numa by doing that, which is pretty nice and convenient when it happens, but you're going to either want to have Thorn Seeds available so that you can cancel the ground targeted ability, or you're going to want to just walk a couple of steps to get her out of Numa. So the entire time we're going to continue using Iron Cannonballs, with the exception of a couple of them. So this is the stage where I generally will FCP myself, because the next guy knows his Divest Shield. We'll go ahead and do the Crazy Uproar, and then we'll go ahead and talk to this guy to spawn the next opponent. If you're doing this as fast as you possibly can, you want to keep talking to him the second that you kill the enemy, because it will start the next match. And you want to get through the dialogues and overlap them as much as possible so you don't waste time looking at them. So I'm going to switch to Evil Dragon Armor. It's pretty dangerous because he can do Firebolt, and that'll do a significant amount of damage. But when you're high level, you have a really big HP pool, and none of them really do very much. So I'm just using Evil Dragon so that I hopefully will get an SP proc. If I don't, I'll go ahead and switch over. Looks like I already got it. But I would switch over to Malicious Thanatos Hammer. Thanatos does give you SP regen potential, but KVM is going to do the most damage. So now that we've gotten our SP, I'll go ahead and switch back to the Flattery Robe, just for the damage bump, and we'll keep spamming through. We got pretty lucky with this next round here because it's the Sorceress rather than the Alchemist. The Alchemist is really a lot more dangerous than the Sorceress is. With the Sorceress, you can pretty much just stand here and wail on her with Soul Cannonballs, but with the Alchemist, you're going to want to kite around and just she walks pretty slow, so you'll be able to hit her, but you don't want to stand in one place because she'll put a bomb underneath you, and bomb does a lot of damage for some reason in Renewal. So it's just something you want to be careful of. With her, you can pretty much just chill here. The benefit of having the Ifrit Flattery Robe, the Flattery Robe doesn't really matter what's in it. Ifrit happens to be what's in mine, basically because the only time I use it is when I'm acid bombing the Ifrit MVP, and for this person, or for Geffen Magic Tournament. So anything will do, but it's convenient because she does do Fire Pillar. So my shield spell ran out, so I'm going to do that real quick before I begin the next stage. Try and get the attack buff. It doesn't really matter that much, because of all the damage modifiers that I have. I don't really need the extra damage from the shield spell to take out Fenrir very easily. Does not want to cooperate this time. Oh, you know why? It's because I have instant cast. So that's kind of a trouble of using the Flattery Robe, is it does give you a lot of decks. It gives you 7 decks each if you have 2/2. So that actually gets me to instant cast. So if you have instant cast, you won't be able to shield swap very well, or at all, because you can't swap before it's cast, which means that you never get your attack damage buff. So there we got it. So we're switching back to the anti-medium. We have the KVM. We're using Soul Cannonballs. Switching back to Flattery. We're going to start the next round. And Fenrir will spawn here. So this is pretty much the entire tournament is up until this point. Fenrir has the ability, or has the potential to drop a weakened Fenrir card. It has the ability to drop Fenrir Power Scrolls, and it has the ability to drop the Fenrir card. Fenrir card is very, very, very expensive. So if you get one, you're basically free and clear for the rest of your life. It's a very, very good card to sell. It's also a very good card to use. It gives you 70% fixed cast reduction, which is the highest in the game. It also gives you a ton of magic attack. It's in a high, refined upper headgear. Me personally, I don't have a lot of uses for it. I would probably go ahead and sell that and hopefully be able to buy everything that I want for the foreseeable future. Again, very unlikely. You don't usually do things banking on the chance that you're going to get a card, but there is the off chance that you do get one. So that would be amazing. It'd be amazing if somebody that didn't know how to do this ended up getting one because they decided to give it a try. But we'll see what we get. Usually you get nothing, to be honest. There's really not that much. But she's casting Meteor now, or Comet. So you just walk around the corner, and it'll miss you. So I always bring her to the west staircase, and then I use this corner to basically protect myself from damage. And then I'll walk back around the corner and start fighting. But I find it easiest to walk around the corners when I have the camera in this position, rather than up and down, just because of the way that the game works. It's very strange, but we're almost done with her. The amount of damage that you can do with a KVM weapon and soul cannon balls is actually very, very big. We'll walk around the corner again, and we'll go back. She also does do, you can see she's casting Shield Break on me, but since I FCP'd earlier, I don't have to worry about it. And there we go, we killed her. So we'll go ahead and talk to this guy, and he will give us some coins. So all in all, you get 110 coins for completing the tournament without losing. Once you're done, you walk up here, you talk to these 4 people. They give you some Yig Seeds and Yig Berries. One thing about this instance is you definitely need to leave the instance first before, you can't just leave party and quit it. You want to go walk out physically and talk to this guy, because that will reset your timer. If you don't reset your timer, when you come back to do it tomorrow, or in the future, you'll still have the cooldown on, so it'll reset your cooldown from there. So we'll go ahead and remake the party. We will talk to this guy. We'll reserve the instance. We're going to be using a Faceworm Eggshell, which will decrease the damage that we take by 50% and increase the damage that we deal by 50%. So we'll put that on. Sunglasses of Poison Grass, and a Mob Scarf. So the Mob Scarf, because I have 120 int, 120 dex, is going to give me a triple count for the magic attack bonus, which means I get 360 for that. And then the Eggshell and the Sunglasses have Incanto card in it, which does 30% more damage. Alright, so with that out of the way, reserve the instance, we can go into it. I'm not going to reset Shield Spell. It's kind of unnecessary at this point, but we'll want to do it fairly soon. We'll start the quest, we'll run down here. I like to clear the path a little bit before we get going. I'm going to put on the Thanatos Hammer, and we'll put on Holy Cannonballs. 1, because they're cheaper, 2, because you deal more damage to poison, I believe, and 3, I have more of them, so it just makes more sense. So now that we've cleared out the first part, we'll just turn around and kill these guys. Another thing that you can do is switch on your Evil Dragon Armor. There's no real point of using Flattery until you get to the Queen, and even then, you don't really use it. I prefer to default EDA for the entire time, because 1, Deadly will make poison damage deal a lot less to you, or miss, and Flattery really doesn't add that much damage, so there's no need. So you walk to the right, you collect 2 from over there. There's usually 1 other one lingering around, so you should have 3 Faceworms by now. And you just want to stay ahead of them, make sure that you don't lose any. This is actually one of those weird cases where it makes more sense to kite them around than it does to kill them right away. If you need to group them up, sometimes Cart Cannon can help you do that. But you don't want to get hit locked, you want to stay ahead of them. And clearing out the path early helps you do that, because you're not getting hit locked by the little Arclouse things. So as you deal damage, sometimes they will group up together a little bit closer, which can be very helpful. It helps keep it organized so that you don't lose them. So just take it slow. There's no rush. I mean, the instance does have a timer on it, so you get better rewards the faster you complete it. So the better you get at this, the better the rewards that you get have a potential of being. But again, if you don't get good rewards, that's totally fine. The main point is that you get Faceworm skins. If you because Faceworm skins will allow you to turn in for Eden merit badges, which is 90% of the point of this. I feel like we might have missed a couple. Usually there's a few more in that corner, that bottom left corner, so if I do come up short here, I'll go ahead and backtrack a little bit. Grab this guy here. So there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can cart cannon, or you can put down demonic fire and fire expansion, and then do a couple of cart cannons to finish them off. Generally that is the fastest way for genetic to do it, but if you want to save money, you can go ahead and cart cannon, no problem. So with the magic attack that I get from Mob Scarf and the damage that I get from the Encanto cards, plus the damage that I get from the the Faceworm Eggshell, I do about 700k bombs to the Dark Faceworms. And I did swap to the Liberation Crimson Mace for that, because they are Brass property, which will help with the damage a little bit. If you don't have one, you can feel free to stick to the Thanatos Hammer. It does give you a good amount of magic attack, so there's no problem with that. You actually don't lose a lot of bomb damage by using that instead. So we're going to clear these guys out, same way as before. You don't have to walk this far up. In fact, you probably don't want to walk this far up, but it does make it a little bit easier, again, to mob these guys around, so then you'll run back to the beginning, you'll pick up the ones that spawn at the entrance, then you'll work your way back up. Generally speaking, if you stick to the path that's on the ground, you can see the worn dirt in there, you'll be able to collect all the Faceworms pretty easily without missing any. So don't worry if you're taking a little bit of damage here and there. You don't need to stop and like stop everything that you're doing and kill the mob that you have. As long as you're not stuck and you're able to move forward, I would recommend keep moving forward. If you do get stuck, then you're going to want to have to deal with the mob that's on you currently. But yeah, don't worry about these guys. You'll regen all of your SP and HP by the time you stop and you actually start dealing damage. And if you feel like you need to regen, you can always turn around and throw a cart cannon at the mob without actually stopping to kill it. There's no problem doing that at all. So it's getting pretty mobby. I actually didn't do that the cleanest possible. But make your way to the middle, just get everything. They actually stop attacking you with auto attacks anyway, and they start hitting you with the poison attack. So since you're wearing a deadly, it actually doesn't matter that much. You don't have to kill every Faceworm on the map either. You can go ahead, you can just use, as long as you have 2 left, you can get the prize basically. Did I get the other one? Okay, I did. Sometimes it's just so muscle memory, I forget if I actually do what I'm supposed to do and click the chest. But since Shield Spell ran out, I noticed I was doing a little bit less damage with Acid Bomb. So we're going to get Shield Spell back. You can see how much lower my attack is without the Glorious, or the Lip Crimson Mace. It's a lot lower. And then without the Seraphim as well. Like, if you compare it to earlier in the video, I had like plus 900 attack or something. So yeah, you do get quite a bit lower attack, but the percents that you get from the upper headgear and the sunnies and the mob scarf are just so big. So this part's pretty scary. Just take your time, or not, don't take your time, but don't panic. Just go ahead and keep clicking, get through. It doesn't matter where you click, just keep clicking ahead on the path and you'll eventually make it through. With Genetic, it's a little bit easier because your movement speed is so fast, but with other classes you should be just fine as long as you don't stop and attack the eggs. So what you want to do is you want to go around and collect the Faceworms without going too far. The main path that you should be going on, I'm going to swap to the Deviant Fallen Angeling. I forgot to do that earlier, but there's no reason that you can't do that for this instance. If you're wearing a deadly armor, that is. So by traveling on this path, the one that I just took, you actually don't trigger the egg spawns. Very weird to me, but it's actually super helpful because the eggs can knock your mob around and make it a lot more difficult for you. And there's really no reason to. There's nothing over there. So we're going to try and kill what we have and see how many we have to go. Alright, so we have 5 to go, at least. So we'll run back this way. There's 1. You can kill the eggs before you get to them as well. There's 2. There's 3. Probably 1 over here. 4. And 5. So we'll get these guys and kind of mob them over to where I know that the giant faceworm will spawn. It spawns right over here. So once they all get on me, I'll just start cart cannoning them to save a little bit of money. But you can see how much faster fire expansion is compared to this. It's way better. Did I miss one? Alright, so he fell off, so I'm just going to bomb him. It's fine, it's no big deal. So we're switching to the Liberation again. We're walking away. We don't want to stand in range of the bombs. But we should be able to kill him before these ones go off. Click on the chest, grab the skin, then you're going to run down. A lot of this, again, it's mostly just following the path. So I like to walk down to about this point, wait for the faceworms to spawn. Be careful for these areas. You'll take rapid damage if you happen to stand in them. Just try not to. We're going to follow the path. Sometimes there's a few more over here. Grab this, we'll loop around the tree. I'm going to go ahead and close my gears just to make it a little bit easier to click. We followed the path, we walked down, we'll continue down, and we'll intersect with this path, and then we'll walk horizontally. If we want a little bit of HP, again, just cart cannon back behind you. So we're still on the path, we'll walk up again. And now, just to make sure that I didn't miss any in the middle, I'll walk a little bit on the inside of the path. So we lost him a little bit. Let's walk back up and grab it. You can see how you can lose track of the mobs because of how they stack up. It's pretty annoying, actually. Or it can be. As long as, just assume that you didn't make a big mistake and lose half your mob somewhere. If you did, you'll be able to go find it easily. But this is a pretty big mob. I don't think there's anything else down here. Go back up. And once you kill them all, there should be a boss spawning right here. Alright, so we got down to 2. And we'll go ahead and bomb this guy. The damage that I'm taking, it looks like it's a lot, right? But it's only 200s, so it really doesn't need me. I don't really need to worry about it or pot or anything like that. So I'll go ahead and kill that guy. On to the next one. So this is where the boss will be. So I'll have to gear open again. This is a good time to re-up your shield spell. If you need to. Switch over to a Mad Bunny Special Royal Guard. Put on my Liberation Crimson Mace. I'll put on Iron Cannonballs just because they have there's no real, doesn't really matter. We're not going to be cart cannon. And yeah, we'll keep everything that we have on currently. Make sure that you have a Deviant on if you have one. If you don't, I recommend using Upshooter if you're a genetic or whatever you have. Again, if you don't have a Liberation Crimson Mace, you can use the Thanatos Hammer. If you don't have a Deviant, use whatever you have, whether it be Upshooter, whether it's a Heroic Backpack. Just do the best you can. You might not be able to beat the MVP, I definitely remember, for this instance, I strongly recommend having the Faceworm eggshell. That is pretty much the primary thing that you want to have. Just make sure that you stay out of range of the earthquake. And you want to drag her out away from the nest until she starts raging. When she rages, if these eggs were one of the things that she spawned, just go ahead and take care of them now. They'll be more annoying later. So keep an eye on her, and once she starts turning back into the normal Faceworm, you'll want to drag her back to the middle. So this is a dangerous part because if you don't get it proper, if you don't bug her correctly, she'll turn into an elemental one. So I'm actually going to put on my Fallen Angel Wing of Shooter for this because she'll be casting Lord of Vermilion on me, and I don't want to take a lot of damage from that. So you want her to rage again, and just give it another try. I'm not exactly sure how this works. I just know that sometimes she will bug and she'll stay in the neutral form, which is what you're looking for. There it is again. We'll cart cannon it, drag her over here. We'll bomb her. You can tell when she's in poison phase because your bombs will do like 700 damage. It's insane. So stand away from the earthquake. I think we have her in the bugged state now because she didn't transform already. And then just stand and tank her abilities. Switch back to Deviant if you haven't, or if you want to take a little bit less damage. As you might have seen, I took about 4k damage with a double attack there, and I'll only take 1k if I'm using, or 2k if I'm using Deviant. But once she starts casting Earthquake, just walk away. Try and stay towards the middle so that she doesn't enrage, and just keep throwing bombs. I would, again, I would lean on the side of using condensed white potions instead of using Yig berries or Yig seeds. Yig berries and Yig seeds are super expensive right now. You could sell one Yig berry and you'd make, you know, hundreds or thousands of white potions worth back. You'd save 1,000 white potions just by not using Yig berry. But yeah, we did pretty good, 14 minutes and 33 seconds. That's actually really good. So we should have gotten some good skins, and we'll go ahead and identify them. So we got a slotted one, special Agi Bit. That's not very good. We only got one slotted skin. This one is not very good. Special Bit 5. Now, honestly, finishing the instance quickly or finishing each stage quickly only increases your chance of getting something good. It actually doesn't guarantee that you're going to get good ones. So the ones that we got were actually pretty bad. Before you leave, if you are troubled for money, you can actually head back into the previous parts of the forest and look around. And there's actually these little treasure chests here. Click on them, and sometimes there's other loot in them that you might find useful. Like from old Glast Heim, they have like the booleans and stuff like that. Yeah, see, there we go, gold boolean. It's 100k. So if you would like to make a little bit more bang for your buck, you can head back and check the bushes for some good treasure. I usually don't. The skins are usually worth enough for me, but if you spent a lot trying to kill Faceworm, like you used more bombs. I brought 130 acid bombs, and I have 65 left. So really, if you have great gear, you use a lot less bombs and it saves you money. So if you don't have great gear, you might want to go back down here and try and find some treasure. But for now, we'll go ahead and... So lastly, this is fairly new. I want to go and do some of the 16.2 instances, or the 16.2 instance. So what I'll do is go to Eden Group, re-up my buffs, go to Einbroch, we'll talk to this guy, say we want to go to the train station. Talk to this guy, say we want to go to Einbeck. Then we'll head down to where the gunslinger hideout or rebel hideout is. This way. talk to Eerie. We'll go back and... So I don't know a lot about this instance, so if there's other easier quests that I could pick up, let me know about them. I honestly don't know. But I do know about these. So you'll go back into this room, you'll say, I want to do this mission, take all three. There's that. We're going to keep our Deviant on. We're going to put on the KVM weapon. Put on the Flattery robe as well. We'll talk to... We'll put on the anti-medium as well. And we are using iron cannonballs. Don't forget to put on your Midas or change your headgears from the previous instance. It won't do you any good to wear a Faceworm eggshell anywhere else. But if you do a lot of Faceworm, if you don't have an eggshell, you need one. Like, hands down. Alright, so you fight her, you win, you get some badges for it. Sweet. So we picked up the missions, and we're going to go ahead and go to the instance. So to do that, we'll run over this way. There's actually an area nearby that we want to check first, this bench. I don't know if I got it. I have the still. Yeah, I still have the anchovy. So that bench wasn't the place. There's a mission where you need to, like, feed a cat or something. So, check that bench first. The other place you can check is over here. Wait, did I get it or did I not get it? I don't know. Whatever. I don't understand the cat quest. I really don't know anything about this place. So this is probably... I just want to do it for the chance of getting the rebel guns. So I don't bother bringing flywings or anything because genetics walk so quickly. Just walk north. I feel like I'd waste more time flywing than I would just walking. Like figuring out how to get there from wherever I land. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I'll just, doesn't save me a lot of time, so I'll just walk. Alright, so talk to this guy. Well, we need to make a party first. Talk to this guy. Talk to that guy. Walk over, talk to him. Now, I feel like I don't need to walk you through this. If you've already done the 16.2 quest, this is actually the second version of the dungeon. So, of this instance, there's like a version 1 and this is version 2. So you can probably figure it out if you've done enough of the work to get to this point. But, I don't know. It's one of the instances I do, so I'm just going to record it. I hope I get something. Now would have been a good time to put up shield spell, but honestly these monsters have such low health that it doesn't really matter. Actually, there's no point in using the flattery because we're going to one-shot them. They can hit for a lot though. Look, that one just did 958. It would have been like 2k damage if I didn't have it. We're just going to mob them. So they can drop a Heart Hunter card, they can drop pistols, rifles, grenade launchers, shotguns. Talk to him. Walk over here, grab some gunpowder. I want to make sure that when you walk past him, he does glow like that. Otherwise, the next stage doesn't kick off. Don't walk too close to the turrets or you'll take a lot of damage. They won't kill you though. They'll never kill you, but they'll take you down to like 0 health. So you see I just collected a very shiny ring. That's part of the quest that I took. Yeah, see look, I just took a third of my health from that for no reason. So talk to him, or talk to this little robot and push the button. Walk over to the side here. Take out these guys. Don't walk too close to the robots. You can kill them along the way. I like to mob. I feel like I can kill more. On to the next stage. This is actually the last stage, so this is a really quick one. Talk to him. He'll kick off the dialogue. Walk down here. When the instance starts, or when the boss fight starts, there will be 2 turrets over here that can do damage to you. I'm pretty sure she's Shadow, so I'm going to go ahead and put on the Abyss Dress. She doesn't do any damage, so I'm going to put on the Fallen Angeling Shooter, and then I'm going to put on Holy Cannon. So I think since she's not human, I'm pretty sure she's demi-human. So we should do like 300k damage. Abouts. But that might be with Shield Spell. I don't know. I could have done Shield Spell there as well. Yeah, with Shield Spell it might be around 300. It'd be pretty close. Again, you can see she's not very difficult. So you don't have to do anything. Just walk up to the top of the stairs and you wait for the instance to finish. Might as well Shield Spell. Yeah. Alright, so now we'll talk to Rookie over here, and he'll take us to the underground lab. So I'll talk to Yuslan, we'll take the quest. Talk to this guy, take the quest. And we'll go ahead and enter the instance. Oh, the Chimera is right here, what the fuck? Take it. This is the MVP. We got an MCA for that? Holy fuck. Ooh, look. We did it. Right at the entrance, so anybody that comes in can see that it is can immediately see that it's dead. I wonder if he's looking for it. I wonder if he's leveling us more. He's probably looking for it right now. Lol. What an idiot. Doesn't he know it's already dead? It spawned right on the door. That's pretty freaking unlucky if he's camping it. Alright, I think that's it. Let's just kill one of each. Figure out if we did it or not. Got him. So you have to kill 10 of each of those. Holy shit. There's a lot of... Apparently these drop the Exceeds and Veridicon pretty commonly. So we're going to leave our previous party and create it quick. Talk to him. Reserve the instance. We'll put a little thingy here. kill these guys. I don't know if they have drops. I hope they do. The guns seem pretty rare to get. So when you kill them, you'll have to answer a question on the switch. As far as I know, the answer to everything, pretty much, like 90% of the time, is red. There are a few that are blue. I just didn't take the time to learn. So I just guess red every time, and 90% of the time I just move on to the next stage. It's fairly intuitive, too. It's like, oh, purity, that's probably blue. But whatever. Rose. Like, what do you think Rose is going to be? Red. Alright. So I've already done the instance before, so I'm going to just actually put on the Abyss Dress, put on Royal Guard, put on Holy Cannonballs, put on Fallen Angel Wing of Shooter. I'm going to walk up here, and it's going to say proceed with the story or proceed with the battle. Since I've already done the story, I'm going to say proceed with the battle. You're going to basically fight Atros. He is Shadow property, he is boss, and we're going to kick his ass with Card Cannon. So Holy Cannonballs, Abyss Dress. If you don't have that, I think I've gone over the alternatives already. But yeah, he's just as easy as regular Atros. Alright, so we did it. The entrance opens, and we walk out. So we'll talk to this guy, we'll collect our reward, we'll talk to this guy, collect our reward, we'll talk to this guy, we'll leave. And now we're just going to go back to the original place where we took the quests and get a few more of those tokens from turning in the quests. So to conclude, I kind of want to talk about some of the genetic gear that I think is the most valuable to have. If you have no gear at all, the first thing that I think you should get is the Thanatos Hammer, hands down. Thanatos Hammer will help you sustain, and it does a respectable amount of damage. It's not the best, but I definitely strongly recommend it. The next thing that you should get are Temporal Dex Boots. They're probably the most affordable thing on this list, so, or other than Thanatos Hammer, they're probably the most affordable thing on the list. They don't have to be +9, but it definitely helps. +12 even is still good, or is still good, is even better. But yeah, I mean, so Thanatos Hammer, Temp Dex Boots. You don't need a Mad Money special, a Valk Shield is just fine. Anti-Medium is very useful. Hodremlin card in a shield is also useful. You could do that. Doesn't have to be fancy. If you are a new genetic and you're less than level 170, I strongly recommend picking up Cylinder Headband. It'll make your Cart Cannon instant cast, and it will increase your damage by a lot. So if you don't have a Midas Whisper, Cylinder Headband is very, very good to get. So those are the top 3. If you plan on doing... Yeah, looks like we missed the letter. Sometimes slow walking Heart Hunters will spawn, and they're the ones that drop the letter, but I don't know how to make them spawn. But yeah, finishing thoughts here. I didn't go over the Perverse Demon Mask, but it's really good for genetic despite the fact that the defense bypass doesn't apply to Cart Cannon, because Cart Cannon already does it. You just get so many stats for your build. Like with this one, I get like 5 times 3, like I get 15 dex. Like it's so much. I'll just take this off and then put it back on. So you can see my stats now, and then when I put it on, see how much it changes. It's insane. It's so many. You just get a lot of stats. It's more than Cylinder, I'm pretty sure. Um, but yeah, cylinder is good. I tend to prefer Kaffir Blossom cards in my accessories. They are a little bit more expensive, but they do help with survivability and they're a little bit more general. But if you want to min-max your damage, Gold Scaraba is a good card that you can also. It only gives 20 attack, so if you don't have it, like, I wouldn't say that this is the 300 mil or 400 mil that you should spend right off the bat. Like, that's like 50 mil per attack or some stupid crap like that. No, it's not. It's a bad ratio for Zenny spent to attack gained, to say the least. I definitely recommend getting a Bloodsucker or a Tank Scroll or something similar. It helps you sustain a lot. Another thing that's really good is the Malicious set. You get a lot of lifesteal from that. In fact, I could use almost no lifesteal here and still sustain. The best example is if you watch the Kimmy fight again, I pretty much am using no leech gear except for Bloodsucker and Malicious, and I keep my SP up pretty well, just off of those two monsters. Mob Scarf is very situational on Genetic, but it does work really well with this build, especially in Faceworm. Without the Mob Scarf, if I'm using the Seraphim Coronet instead, it does like, I'd say like 100k less per bomb, maybe 150k less per bomb. But it just gives you so much magic attack, and you get to use the Poison Grass mid and upper, which just gives you so much percent damage, it outweighs the attack. Like, it compensates for the 300 attack that you lose for not using Seraphim. I'm not sure if that's an exact number, but it seems like a lot. But yeah, if you don't have a plus 15 Crimson, don't worry about it. Crimson is still really good if it's not plus 15. Greater than plus 10 is the best. So I would say try and get a plus 10 Crimson and then work up from there. Maybe when there's a Refine event, try and go for plus 15. But plus 15 is definitely one of the better MVP weapons that you can get. Recently, you could start doing Twin Edge of Not Seeger. I think it does a little bit more damage against medium monsters. But again, the Mace is a lot more general, and it's good against large monsters. So a lot of MVPs are large, so it kind of makes sense to stick with the Crimson. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. But yeah, hopefully you learned something. I know it's kind of hard to learn when the person that you're watching is using really good gear, but hopefully it gave you an idea of what you're supposed to do and what some tips are to do the instances more effectively with whatever gear you might happen to have. So yeah, a rare actual guide from me. Have a good day, guys.